Okay, good evening, everybody. Today is December 3rd, and I would ask everybody to please rise. I'll recite the Pledge Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, it's the Board of Selectmen meeting today. Like I said, today is December 3rd. Everybody get a chance to take a look at the warrant and sign off on that. Would hope that everybody has, if not, it's downstairs.
Just a quick question on that, Mr. Chair,
yes,
if you don't
sir.
mind. Janet, there was two, or Mike, there were two more tabs on the bottom, and it said something sign here. Is that just for the chair or for the board?
As part of the warrant. It was probably for another department. Sometimes she'll flag things if people
Yeah, I think
have,
it was
like,
the department
signatures
head.
on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That just came up and I didn't have a chance to look at it yet.
So we all set, or?
You guys should just be the two pages on
All
the
right,
top.
just want to make sure we don't walk away without signing something.
No, there was a few things for David to sign. Maybe.
I saw that, and Mike's gonna do a little research on one of them for me. Okay, minutes for November 1st. Anybody have a chance to take a look at them? Okay. Let's take a stab.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for our general meeting on November 1st, 2012.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Fowler?
Still, when we
Do you want
discussed
more?
this last week, it says Mr. Surface stated that the school building committee was told they could not have handouts at the town meeting. And that really wasn't how it went down. Not a lot troubles me, but this thing this night, it did, Dave. You know,
That's the truth, that we were told by Mike there was to be no handouts by the school building committee. And I stated that when I walked into the meeting. And that we were told when the town moderator came in.
See,
said-
this was when I asked you who we were, and you said, well, I decided that. And
No, it
last
was-
week you said it was the school building committee, and now it's Mike, so that's what I'm trying to.
Right, when we asked, I asked, again, let's get the record straight. When I
Yeah,
asked
let's-
Mike during the week, he said there was to be no information handed out. Right? That was
Yes.
that's what I was told, and that's
That
what
was
I
my
had said.
understanding.
Right, and then we got straightened out by, informed by the moderator that that could happen. And that's when things changed immediately, right?
Right.
As I remember correctly. So,
And so that would be why Phil removed them, I mean, but
I don't know, I can't answer that question.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought him back, and I asked Mike, and Mike told us that, no, they can't be out there. So we held them, and then the moderator came in and said, yes, they can, and then we brought them back out.
well, I guess what's also troubling, though, is that as a board of selectmen, we haven't had any discussion about this, so how would Phil be aware of it? I mean, I did it somewhere, I do remember an email, but that was looking for, we got an email or something about somebody, Mike sent it to me, about looking for a legal opinion of whether a board of selectmen member, how much participation they could have, I believe, in a political action committee. And you sent out a ruling on that,
It was more general than just the Board of Selectmen. It was any committee member.
So I guess now what prompted that? I mean, was that sort of the same thing that's prompting this?
No, I was asked by members of the school building committee if,
Okay.
what would be the ramifications if they joined this organization or not.
And I think that was centered around, could committee members go and hand out around the town mailings or information?
That was
Right.
part of
That
it.
was the reason for that inquiry.
Well, it was also if they
I
could
remember
participate in a registered ballot committee.
Yeah, that
Gary,
wasn't for me.
Let me see if I can help out. So, we had asked previously, our request came to the board through I don't know who it came through, to be honest with you, if the school committee could put out some literature at the town meeting. And the answer was no.
School building committee,
School
no,
building
right.
committee, sorry. And the answer was no. And So when I got in there and I saw that the committee against the school had a piece, had some documents there, I said, well, if they can't put one for it, they can't put one for, against it. So I brought it back, and then I asked Mike, and he reaffirmed that we can't put anything, it was his knowledge. And then Beverly came in and we conferred with Beverly, and Beverly said yes, so we just put it back out there. I mean, that was as tactful and harmless as it got.
Right.
That was it.
Well, no, because if you go back to the request, you said a request came to the board, and we never discussed as a board, any of that.
Request came to what board? This board about,
A request came, I can't remember where it came from, but we had these conversations prior to the meetings, and the answers were, and I had discussions with Mike on it, that we couldn't do that, and from previous meetings as well. So I didn't test it. I didn't go any further than that, because the understanding was that no political literature could be out there at town meeting.
So, Gary, can I just clarify, are you concerned with something, the way it's written in the notes, or are you just talking about an issue that,
I guess I'm
side issue that was-
concerned with, as I've seen how things have happened over this. I mean, the first thing was David kind of put the question right to me. And I mean, I am not a member of that league. I did donate some money to him and when asked some information, and as a matter of fact, I believe that action committee, the chairperson asked me about putting things out, and I told him that he should contact the moderator, that, you know. And that was it, and you and I had that conversation, Dave, and really, that was about it, other than you did say we decided, and I asked you the question about we, so the rest of this has been coming along as we've been discussing it. But I mean, as I sat there, then we went on with our meeting. Beverly came in sometime later. And as I sat there, I mean,
however,
I mean, realizing, I was thinking, well, gee whiz, why would we even be, it's not up to the Board of Selectmen or the school building committee to decide that the town clerk is the one who is the legal person, I know, at elections, and I'm not sure if she is or the moderator at that point. And then Beverly came in, but it just, the whole thing was just about the way the question was sort of put to me. And then as it's come along, as things have gone along, I just find it a little troublesome. I mean, as Phil's saying that,
would you think there was something maliciously done then? I mean, let's get to the point. The point is, when I said we, let me answer your question, or just state the facts. When I said we, I was referring to the school building committee, and I said, Mike, we were told, and Mike reaffirmed that, we were told we couldn't put out anything. That has nothing to do with the opposition. I had no involvement with, Phil took it upon himself to do that, and, and I don't think it was done maliciously. Everybody had an opportunity to look at both pieces of information during town meeting and when they were coming in, so I don't see what the issue is. It was maybe 10 or 15 minutes that nothing was out there, either for or against.
well, I think it was longer than that, and that I guess for me, that's part of the issue, that stuff was removed.
But before the town meeting started, everybody had the opportunity, everyone there, before the town meeting started, had the opportunity to look at those pieces of information.
Not if they came in and they signed in and then they went and sat down, they wouldn't have been there.
We weren't even
Okay.
open for signing in at that
So-
point. It was only about 6:15 at the latest that happened.
Right.
I mean, literally, our meeting just came in, Beverly came in,
Yes,
and we
but
sent it.
Beverly came in sometime later.
And it was immediately
It was
rectified
sometime
as
later,
soon
matter
as
of
she
fact,
said it.
I believe our meeting was near an end when Beverly did come in, so. Okay, I'm just trying to,
Again,
I'm just trying to
state the record.
sort it
When I
all
said
out.
we, it was school building
that's-
committee was
I'm
told.
hearing, I'm being direct, Dave,
Yeah, I
mean, I'm
understand.
doing,
I mean, and if you think, there's nothing maliciously done. The point was, when I got there, I said we, meaning school building committee, was told, and I sit on that committee, that we couldn't put out any information. That had nothing to do with the opposition. The opposition, the information ended up in that room, and as soon as, the moderator, told us they could go out, it went out. Matter of fact, it was probably out before the people that were for could put their stuff out, so it is equal or even as far as getting the information out in terms of timeliness. So it wasn't held until the other ones were there. Matter of fact, the school building committee had to scramble to get everything together because they were told up until when Beverly came in that there was nothing could be put out. Totally innocent, nothing malicious being done whatsoever. So, Anyway, we have a motion. Are we all done with discussion on these
I'm
minutes?
done with discussion, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, motion carries unanimously. November 19th, general meeting.
Chair, I move that we approve the general meeting minutes from November 19th, 2012.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on November 19th minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Minutes are done. New business, fire chief, fire department, come on up. Gentlemen,
Evening.
how we doing?
Good, how are you?
Just one page?
Yeah, that's a one-pager, right? Is that a one-pager
That looks it.
handout?
You guys got good eyes.
Yeah. Well, I got them on my head. Now I can see.
Yeah, those are the numbers that you're looking at are through
Thank you.
October 28th. And just as I was leaving the station tonight, we had two calls like back to back. The new numbers had come in. I hadn't had a chance to even pull them out yet. But you can see where we sit with everything through October.
So how are we doing against the pro forma in general?
We're
We're
doing
down, sideways?
we're doing better than a pro forma. Net dollars, we are probably going to be right on our target come the end of December. So we are right. Everything is so close to what the numbers were to the best, which is very encouraging.
So is that, I don't remember the plan, their numbers, is that positive then?
Oh yes,
So that
very
we're in the
positive.
plus
How about
at the
these?
end of this year?
What about the expenses?
Yeah. Right now, expenses, what's been hitting us hard has been, we've had some breakdowns. We've had about $10,000 worth of breakdowns between the two trucks. Just, they're older units, and that's gonna happen. Turbos are gonna go and radiators are gonna blow. You can't avoid that from happening. But even with that in mind, as it is right now, as of this morning's deposit, we had over $99,000 that's in the bank. That's after all the expenses and everything has been paid. So that's the $105,000 that we forecasted for the end of the year. We're right on target.
Okay. Meaning 12/31 or?
12/31.
Okay.
Yeah. We actually end, just as Jeff had just pointed out to me, our original fiscal 13 view that we had originally done looked at a net income positive of $75,000. So as we're working right now, our expenses are not, the money that's coming in is not being taken away, by other expenses.
So we're at 99,000, call it 100,000 net, net income.
That's our
right
net
now.
Yeah, the pro formas were about 75 year end. Excuse me.
So we're running about 25,000 ahead with 2 months to go.
Yeah.
But expenses could outpace revenue in November, December, who knows? We just
Our
don't know.
expenses are right up to date.
Okay.
What we have right now are just the December.
The December
really is what we have to look for, just this month.
Yeah, because November's not on here, so.
Correct.
I mean, what I think would be valuable for us is to see, not just the revenue side, but see an actual budgeted income statement, actual budgeted.
Yeah, P&L.
Yeah, just give us a plus and minus of where we are year to date. I think that would be really helpful in terms of what we forecasted, line item for line item,
Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, we don't have to get down to Band-Aids, but, supplies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we have, that's already, it's just not in the P&L is here, it's just in two different versions versus one
Be nice to
consolidated.
combine it all, give us a
Yeah,
combined.
that way you could see total inflow, total outflow.
And there was some money in there for depreciation, right? That we were gonna put Of that 75,000, how much were we putting away towards recapitalizing the machine?
That was-
the machinery.
We're gonna try to put about 25% away.
Yeah, that's what we're looking to do.
That
Was
the
it in
that
there
the
though? Was it
discussion.
in the pro forma? I
Um,
think I asked you guys to put that in there
I
at
think
some
it
point.
was.
Was it part of the expenses, like, to get us to 100? I mean, that'd be a question to
That I
answer.
don't have. I'd have to go look that one up, David. It's been a while since I've looked at that
Yeah,
one.
that's fine. Because, I mean, and that was part of something that I had asked about from the beginning, is that we
Yep.
wanna make sure that we have money in that net income to recapitalize the, the equipment. And then we'll see our real net income. So, anyway, all right,
That's great.
okay. Fire department revolving fund increase. This is just informational, chief, or is there a request
Can I
tonight?
ask a question?
Oh, sure.
Sorry. So first of all, this is great, positive, right? That was the big question. Seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't, so you're making it work.
Not as
I think-
far ago, not as long ago as you thought.
The other, I think, question we had was obviously the quality of service. Matter of fact, that was really more important to a large degree. Are you guys able to benchmark in some way or get feedback and kind of do a comparison with the crossover in terms of,
Well, we're
I know
getting,
you, I know you measure a lot of different metrics, but what are you finding so far on that?
biggest thing is getting on scene. We're out the door
Quicker.
in faster than we have before, because instead of waiting for a larger crew of people, you're running with two. And we're getting out even late at night. The truck is on the road in less than 5 minutes. And that's, probably about, I think roughly about 90% of the time, we're on the road in less than 5 minutes. And that's a huge one, to be out that fast. I mean, we're beating, if we have like an ALS call, we're beating the ALS intercept truck to the scene, and in most cases, we've got the patient in the rig and heading to the hospital when we finally intercept with the ambulance. So that's huge, because we're getting the patient to the definitive care faster than ever before. That's the bottom line.
It's kind of a two-pronged approach. One, we're getting there quicker, and our scene time is much less, because we do an initial assessment, package, and go. So we're on scene. I can use an example. The other night, I was on scene 8 minutes, just from looking at my times. And I did an ALS intercept just before 95.
What the heck is an ALS?
I'm sorry, a paramedic truck came from Newburyport.
Do you have to switch? the-
Advanced life support.
Do you switch vehicles, or you just
Nope,
travel
they
together?
take their gear and come into our ambulance.
Got it, okay.
So they'll come in with monitored drugs and such,
Yeah.
and then we'll give a report and then assist on the transport.
And we're finding the personnel we have and the training they've had is adequate, on site. In other words, there's getting there, and then there's what you do when you get there. So you guys are finding right now that that's going well.
Very
Yes.
pleased with the way our
Yeah.
troops are doing it. We do these assessments, from within, and we take the run, and we basically, one of the expressions, you pull the grass up to see how the roots are growing, and that's the kind of an assessment that we do. We want to see what's the nature of the call, how are they assessing it when they get there, and we can do that by looking at the actual run report itself, because we can do that electronically. And then doing the what ifs. And we do that, a lot of times we'll do that in the round, we'll have all the EMTs in there for a meeting and be able to do these reviews like this, which give us a real good in-depth review. Plus we have our medical director, who is the ER head doctor at Anna Jakes. He's looking at our reports also. And the feedback I'm getting from him is, he says, I wish there was something I could tell you to change. He said, but everything is right where we want it.
So given we're 11 months, on this report into it, obviously you were advocates for this. Do you believe we made the right decision and things are going well?
Oh, no question in my mind. No question in my mind.
And we've had a lot of positive feedback from patient transports and family members, both at scene and after the fact. Either they'll come by the station or they'll send a card.
Excellent.
So there's been really good positive feedback on that.
Great.
Phil had a question.
I just, so if I sum this up right, in addition to the quality of service, the quantity of costs and expenses here, you're gonna meet the close to or meet the best case pro forma for the 12 months?
I'd
With
say
no
best
problem.
case.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, the volume has been consistent. Based on the initial pro formas, we were looking at 375 transports, or was it 31.2 transports per month? We've averaged since January, 30, put my glasses on, 36 and a half, and then through fiscal 13, 31.2. So all of the targets and the goals are pretty much right on, or a little exceeding slightly. Total volume of EMS runs is up 4% from 2011. So again, positive trending from that standpoint.
Are there has anything come up that just besides the unexpected expenses for the vehicles? Anything come out of this over almost a year now and say, wow, we didn't realize that we could do this from a positive aspect or a negative aspect?
Well, one of the things was there are some things that we can do now in the field as a transporting ambulance that we could not perform before. We can give nebulizer treatments, which was something we could not do before. So if somebody's having difficulty breathing, like an asthmatic or something like that, we can provide them with and give them the drugs.
Yep.
We can deliver it to them, and that's something we couldn't do before. And that's good service there. I think if anything, that's kind of a humorous side that's come out of it is that in all my discussions I had with other fire chiefs and everything, and they all said, you'll see an increase in your calls. And I said, well, I got 5 years worth of data that was pretty right across the straight line. And he says, no, you'll see it because people will begin to understand the service that you have to offer. They'll feel more comfortable asking for service from kind of people that they know, so to speak, people in town. And that's what we're seeing with a 4% increase in our runs. That's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing more and more along that line.
I'd call you guys, but I'm okay lately.
He's back, how's your back? Your back's
Good
fine.
condition.
I have two questions.
Don't worry, we're available.
Two questions. First of all, how's the delinquency or the charge-off rate going? Is that at expected, or is it exceeding the expectations?
The 120-day that we have right now, let's see, I just was looking at that earlier today. That's about, yeah, 38%.
Yep.
Yeah, 38% of our total is right now over 120 days. We recently signed with a collection, third-party collection agency. And in fact, I was in conversation today with the billing agency about, moving some of that debt over, because it's over 120 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And,
pretty high, at 38%.
Not in the medical field.
Okay, well, that was the question.
Yeah.
What's the industry average?
Industry average is right about that,
Mm.
about a third.
So we're between 35 and 40%.
Okay, and these are
Yeah.
non-insured individuals, or co-pays, or
It's all that.
combination?
It's everything.
We do have, even though that they say everybody's supposed to have insurance, when we pick up somebody that's a New Hampshire resident, they're not required to have like automobile insurance.
Mm.
And we've had several accidents in town where have been New Hampshire people. And, you're on your own,
Right.
trying to collect.
Well, the collection agency could make contact with their
Right.
insurance, liability insurance, or third party.
They
Some type of
would
third-party
either
liability.
third party them or just bill them directly.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a typical collection agency that you and I'd be used to dealing with,
third.
third to third to third. So you'll get,
And where are we with our additional coverage issue? I know that one of the ambulance companies went out of business, and there was a ownership change. Have we resolved all those issues?
Oh, yeah, that was all done November 15th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. AMR, pulled up their tent, and Atlantic came in, and it was a seamless changeover. The biggest changeover problem that we had, which was really not a problem per se with them, it would have happened anyway, but radio communications.
Yep.
We had some issues on Thanksgiving
Frequencies.
Day.
That was my
And-
next question, was where are we with the dispatch issues? We're in full communication now, everybody knows who to call, when to call, and
Yeah, there's
all
no.
the same radio frequencies and all that.
Yeah, that's
Happy jazz.
that's all been worked out. I mean, when we finish up with the big radio project that's going on, we'll be over onto a different frequency altogether on a repeater system. So that
that'll improve it.
that will improve our communications immensely.
And the Atlantic Cataldo company that came up, some of the paramedics that worked for AMR came over to that. So there's some familiarity with the paramedics that we still deal with in the area. So when you see a truck on the weekends, and I've run into a couple situations where I know the medics on the truck, they used to work for MR, so they just transferred over to the new company.
Is it Atlantic / Cataldo? Because Cataldo,
It's Cataldo Ambulance.
yeah, it's not Atlantic.
And then
Is it the
Atlantic is one
division?
of their divisions.
Right, so
Yeah.
they purchased, yeah, so,
It's
Okay.
the old Atlantic, it's the
Consolidation.
old Atlantic out of Lynn.
yeah, they're good, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Franklin Street.
Cataldo, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
good.
But, you know, it's good working with them. They've been excellent to work with. As far as our EMTs are concerned, I mean, everybody is, you know, we have more people that are requesting to become EMTs. We have 3 or 4.
We got 4 starting in January.
Yeah, 4 that start in January. And also, later this month, on December 20th, we have 2 of our firefighters that are graduating from the Recruit Academy at the Mass Fire Academy, which will bring us up to roughly 30 certified firefighter 1-2 personnel out of 40.
Oh, that's great.
I'm very pleased with that. Yeah, a lot of hard work on their part. They began class in a 100-degree day in July, and they're now finishing up in the cold of December.
Yeah, well, 60 degrees into summer today. so.
Yeah.
All right, great. All right, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
You might as well stay, because the next section, it's not an information only, it's, we need to take action to consider raising the limit on the revolving fund spending. We approved it at town meeting for $137,000. That was based on not the best estimate. We kept it as, you know, as conservative as could be. And we can go up to $149,000. It's based, the limit is 1% of the general fund revenues for any revolving fund. And at the time, the 137 was the 1% of the, what we anticipated to be the general fund revenues. Now that the tax rate has been set and DOR has done their audit, they told us we could increase it to, and we should increase it to 149.
So where are we year to date in terms of spending on that issue? Are we in danger of reaching the cap and not being able to spend
Oh,
anymore?
yeah.
Well, that's the, okay.
Yeah, we're right now, we're closing in on $70,000 in our, you know, salary, wages, and expenses.
And that's for how many months?
That's for the first, not quite 11 months. Excuse me, not 11 months, but since July 1st.
We will probably, if we keep it the same rate, exceed the 149.
Well, that was my question. Well, what's the sense of raising the cap if we're gonna be over the 149 anyway?
Well, because we'll be less over the cap.
Missed it by less.
DOR.
And DOR will look a little more favorably, correct?
Yeah, DOR will not come down on us.
This time.
They know the situation, but they would also want to see us looking at an enterprise fund for the next fiscal year.
Right, and I'm gonna have some offline discussions with the fire department about that and just look at the numbers. Okay. Well, the question is, if we go, like I said, we go to 149, we're gonna overspend, so let's make it clear so that everybody at home understands and everybody following this, that's volume driven. That's not, we've raised salaries or we've did any type
No.
of bonuses, or this is based on the number of runs, which increases the expense side of it,
And
right?
based on the
Day-to-day
performance,
op-
the
day-to-day
day-to-day
operations.
operations.
Right, okay, so it's volume driven.
But it increases the revenues as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right,
So
right.
it's not just the expenses.
No, but, right, but
No,
I'm
they-
just saying.
And hopefully it's a profitable
Yeah,
one.
it goes, exactly.
Right.
The spread,
Hopefully
the
that
spread
we have a
maintains.
spread.
Yeah,
Although-
the spread maintains.
Yeah, a little interested in, a little experience in spreads
A
right
little bit
now.
of spread, yeah.
Yeah, 10 basis points, overnight money, thank you.
That's the
Anyway,
number I had in my head too, we were gonna talk about.
all right, so, then I have no issue, as long as it's volume driven, and it's because of the number of runs that we're doing, and we're doing better than we expected, therefore, obviously, the expenses have gone up along with the revenue.
Correct.
All right.
They
Okay.
will go up.
All right,
And this, Mr. Chairman, this will also require a vote of the Finance Committee.
so is ours a recommendation, or is ours a full
We
vote?
need 2 affirmative votes from
Okay.
each body.
All right, so I would entertain a motion to raise the fire department revolving fund limit, spending limit to $149,000 for fiscal 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Fowler?
If it was approved at a town meeting for a certain amount, you're saying the Department of Revenue allows us to, or was it approved at a percentage? I guess that's,
No, it was approved at a dollar amount. We
Yeah.
derived it from the 1%. But
Yes.
the wording in the warrant article said $137,000. But the DOR said with the vote of both bodies, you can change that without going back to town meeting.
Right, because we have to manage that account over time, so, you know, that would, as long as this, we have the statutory authority to raise the limit. I mean, what if there was, you know, double the amount of runs that we had originally had established, then the number would have to be a lot higher.
It would be. If my memory was correct from the DOR, they'll allow it this year, but that's why they're, you know, say, we'll give you a pass this year, shame on you, but
Right,
look at the enterprise account.
right. Move it over to an account that's more,
Exactly.
that more positively reflects the income that's coming in.
Correct.
Yeah,
The cash flow.
being a startup, we
Yeah, we just picked that number.
Conservatively best
And
budgeted.
that's capped. I mean, there's a cap and there's a limit on that, and that's where the money comes from. Okay. Any other discussion? Any other questions?
just to clarify, I guess, because now this is sort of like the snow plowing. We don't know what's gonna cost us. And we've said in the past that that's where they allow us to spend, so in excess of what we budgeted. So by doing this vote, this is allowing us to stay within budget.
Well, we're still, unlike snow and ice, where you're allowed to deficit spend, that's the only
That's what I thought. I
line
remembered.
item you can deficit spend.
Okay.
But because DOR is aware of our situation, they're not going to take any adverse action against the town if and when we overspend the 149.
And so on our next town meeting, we will try to do a better job at coming up with what the revolving account should be, or change it to a different
Enterprise
fund.
fund. That's their recommendation at this point.
Right. Again, volume driven,
Yeah.
you know.
For
Because we've done
instance,
so well, we have to.
They're gonna
raise it.
allow to the 149. If we go to 159, it's the one time okay by the state, and they've been very clear with the town, I believe, that we'll allow it this one time without any action against the town. But consider the enterprise account and get it in place going forward. So that way, it stays within itself. The expenses will run through the enterprise account, and we wouldn't run into the cap issue.
Or go back to town meeting, at next town meeting, and raise that cap.
No, you
You
can't.
can't,
Still-
it's a one,
Still capped by the 1%.
it's capped by the 1%.
All right,
So
very
was
good.
the moral of the story, there should have been an enterprise fund to start with?
Right.
Not really. I disagree with that. We wanted to see what the volume was gonna be and take a real hard look at the numbers.
Yep.
And we had an agreement, if it wasn't profitable, we would sell the buses and move on. That was the agreement, so,
Yes, it was.
okay.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
But
But
just,
this was good, to get a real good feel for the numbers
yeah, no,
under
no,
this,
I
under this
just wanna
method.
make sure that we didn't do something that was,
No, we
not
were,
the.
No, it was,
We were
it was,
being
it was
cautious.
discussed, the enterprise was
Yeah, we had
discussed,
the
but because
discussion.
of the newness and the infancy of the service.
Well, I know we discussed it.
Yeah, oh no,
I
and-
just-
and we
I
we had the
just-
discussions.
we had
They'd say,
multiple
great, you
discussions.
discussed it, but you were
No, we-
wrong in the way you did it. That's a
Well, no,
different
we're victims of our own success. That's the issue with this, is that we've done
Yeah.
better than what we
Oh, I'm
anticipated.
good with it.
It's
I
been-
just wanna
it's
know in
exceeded
the
all the
end-
expectations.
You know,
Yeah.
when we want to start a bus company in Georgetown someday, and they come and say, we want to put this in either a revolving or an enterprise, I just want to know what I'm going to do the next time.
Yeah, and there's things within the revolving accounts that if it was, say, the bus service goes bust, it can lay dormant for 3 years and then be disbanded. So there's things within the MGL for that too.
Yeah, there was safeguards there.
Oh, there's plenty of them. in-
We didn't
in-
know what the
Right, it was
revenue
fear of the unknown.
Okay. All right, we ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Did I jump the gun, Gary?
Well,
Should have spoke up. All right.
no, it's not, I just woke up,
No, we could have spoke up, I said. Not Wolcott.
I just trying to remember the motion we've discussed.
The motion was to raise I'll repeat it,
Rise to 140.
49.
Right.
49, and it was at 130, I believe.
137.
37, yeah. Aye.
Okay. And I didn't say you were sleeping, I thought you were just
Spoke up, not woke.
spoke up, not woke up, right. Okay, very good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, good job.
Thanks, guys.
Great news.
Okay, we have a visitor from Camp Dennison, somebody from the Bob Committee, from what I understand.
It's Bob.
It's Bob.
Bob. I'm Bob of many Bobs.
Okay,
Okay, Jim Lacy asked me to come tonight and provide the information to you regarding our revolving account at Camp Dennison. He provided you with 2 sheets. One's a PowerPoint, and the other one's the numbers backing that PowerPoint. He's showing information from 2010 to 2013. It's our actual revenue that we've derived into the revolving account and our expenses during that period of time. Little explanation on the years 2010, 2011. It shows that our expenses are higher than our revenues coming in. We had a beginning balance that covered that. You know, we can't do deficit spending, so we had a beginning balance that covered that. And in 2012, you can see that there's a significant increase in revenue, which is carried over through 13 and 14, or 13 from 2012. That was about $6,500. The need for the increase in the revolving account is on the second page. And he put together an analysis showing our revenue to date and our projected revenue through this fiscal year, 2013. But in addition to this revenue that's being generated, as I indicated, we still have $6,500 being carried into 2013. So in fact, this $6,000 here plus the other $6,500, in fact is over $12,000, both on hand and being earned, being received from these different types of activities. He indicated that there's three of these activities are booked already and will be coming in, and that's role play. We've been doing that for several years, and he has 6 weeks, and looks like we're getting about $700 for those weekends. And then single rentals are either, within Smokey's Den or the environmental center or into the lodge upstairs. And then there's a June wedding going on. It must be a very small one because it's only about $500. And then he has projected other rentals that on a historical basis, he's getting about $700 during that period of this last half of the fiscal year. And then there's boat storage rentals. We have about 20 spaces down there, and on average, it's between $25 and $35, depending whether it's a senior or non-senior. So that's the, $6,300 of projected revenue. And our expenses, the reason why we need the authorization is because we have these expenses that are about $6,400 over and above what we have, and they were built in our original budget. So it comes up to the $15,000 of need right now. So what we're requesting, I think, is a $3,000 increase. I believe the original request was 12, and we're asking for an additional 3.
to move it to 15,000? 12 to 15, is that
Yeah,
where we're going?
12 to
Yes.
15.
Although your expenses are at 515, 110, what if do we want to go a little bit higher than 15?
Well, Jim always, in his opinion, he'd like to have that, but that's what we supported. So
Okay.
if we can go a little bit higher,
Yeah, I mean,
he would
'cause
be doing a dance.
right, I don't wanna be moving it to 15, if you're projecting expenses of 15,110, we're already
Yeah.
behind the eight ball.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable, at least personally, moving it to 16,000, which would cover your projected expenses plus unanticipated expenses of about $900, just in case.
That would be great.
Okay. So, I would, then we'll open up for discussion. I would entertain a motion to raise the Camp Dennison revolving fund maximum limit to $16,000 for the fiscal year 2013.
2013.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Any questions? for
I
Bob?
have a question.
Sure.
On expenses, why are the expenses so high compared to previous 4 years, 3 years?
Well, number one, the oil is the big increase. In years past, it's been less than that. Last year, our oil bill was half of what it's going to be this year. It's two things. Number one, we believe we're gonna have a worse winter compared to last year, and the price of oil has gone up from last year to that year. The other thing that's happening down there is we're doing a lot of work in the cabin areas.
That's the tree work and everything.
And there's tree work involved in there that we could increase that amount
A lot.
a lot. And so what we try to do, in the past, what we've done is we've taken monies, we have a Friends account, and we usually put monies into the donation account to cover the trees for that. And so we're having so many problems with trees down there that we have to expand our budget to cover, because now we have safety issues down there because of the trees. So we have to really get those trees down. And in addition, in that whole area where the new bathroom is, which is being funded by CPC funds, there was a number of trees around that area that had to be taken down earlier. And just in the building right next to that, we've just started taking down some trees again on that structure, because that tree was right over that structure. And our trails, we constantly are having tree limbs and things like that. That type of thing we can do ourselves, but some of these trees that we have down there, especially like down at our lodge, there are trees down there that you have to get a professional in there.
Right.
Volunteers can't do that, and usually we can do most of this stuff ourselves, but when it gets to be that dangerous,
Professional come in
yeah,
and do
we,
it.
we,
Yep.
we bring in professionals, so
Okay.
that's the biggest part of this expenses is the tree work and the oil.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious.
Any questions?
Just one.
Mr. Smith?
Just out of curiosity, what happened to basically more than double the revenue between 2011 and 2012? What changed then?
In the revenue?
Yeah.
One of the things that happened, if you go back to the schedule back to 2011, 2010, the committee decided to do an analysis relative to our revenue generation. And so we went out and we did a study relative to comparable units around, and we decided to increase our revenue. Well, I think we got a little aggressive to that, because all of a sudden, as you see in the graphs, our revenue fell off. So then what we did is said, okay, be damned, we can't, we can be greedy relative to putting the price at that level. But if you can't get people to come into your camp and use it, so we changed our prices, and you can see all of a sudden it went. So maybe we went a little too low, but we're not marketeers, we're volunteers,
Hey, I
and
like that one.
we're learning our lessons as we go along in this. So that's the big change in the revenue. And the other thing that's happened is we have this role playing group. I don't know. Several years ago, we had I won't belabor it, but we had a group down there called Be Epic. And they really wore strange things. They had helmets and cloaks, and they had sticks, and they couldn't hit anybody, like,
But Dave was
Hurt
for
anybody.
Halloween.
but they were roaming around and we really had a difficult time convincing the commissioners that we should rent to these individuals. Well, it turned out pretty good because they really liked Camp Dennison, the woods and all that type of thing. And so we had good revenue from them for 2 years. Then when we increased the prices, they bolted on us. So then when we dropped it down, not only did we get them back, but we have like four more groups back with them. So like this revenue for the six weekends, what our concern now is, now we have all these role plays. So, now are we having a problem with allowing our townspeople to come in
Yeah,
and
let me
use
know
our
what those
property?
dates are, so I stay away.
So, so again, we're trying to learn, we're learning to manage this between the, getting all these groups in there because they're kind of strange. to say the
Lord
least.
Vader
No,
would do
they're,
well
they're,
down there.
they're not strange. They're paying clients, and we love them.
No, they are, and we love them.
As
but
long
I'm
as they
just,
confine to that property and.
and,
okay.
and the great thing about our property is we have 44 acres down there, so you can, roam around the place and really not bother the neighbors there.
Right.
I mean, it's a great location, as you all know.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions for Bob?
Mr. Chairman, I have a memo from Steve Przemski. He indicated that the Concom did vote to approve the change at their October 18th Concom meeting.
To 15,000 though? So were we out of line by going 16 or? I mean, I
That's
just,
up for you to decide.
yeah, I just can't see, again, under the discussion, I just can't see approving an amount that's less than what you've budgeted. Because you're gonna be back again looking to spend it. So I'm comfortable with the
Yeah, I don't
16,000.
think you're out of line.
Okay. All right, Mr. Fowler, you look like you have a question.
Well, if I can, again, this is a revolving account, so that is sort of similar to what we just did. Will the finance committee also is going to have to
Exactly
approve
the
this?
same as what we just
And this
did.
is not really costful to the taxpayers, because they have the amount of money coming in, correct? We're just allowing them to spend the money that they've been making.
Correct.
Exactly.
Thank
And
you.
it seems to me that the spending comes along with the additional revenue. Again, you have to have somebody there. As you rent more, there's more expenses, there's this
Right.
expense to renting.
Exactly.
Okay, again, more
Same type of
volume driven than anything.
Volume driven.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of the motion to move the revolving fund for Camp Dennison to 16,000 for fiscal 13, indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. Thank you,
Thank
Bob,
you.
and thanks to the
Thank
committee
you.
for all the hard work.
Okay,
You guys
thank you
put
very
in.
much.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
He wants to go to the role play, I can tell.
He's itching.
Yeah. Okay. We have a request for a proclamation for,
Yeah.
for DECA. And this was for November, so I think we missed it. This should have come
It,
to us
it came
earlier.
in late, but
Right,
they
so-
still asked that.
Is there any appetite to make a motion on this? Okay, hearing none, we'll pass. And next year, we need to get this earlier so that we can go ahead and do that.
Could we still do it for them?
Can we still do it for them?
I think they still wanted it just to have it, it's for up at the high school.
Is it for the high school?
Yeah, it's for Georgetown High School.
Okay,
for,
so I'm waiting on a,
business, marketing, like business club.
understand, it's a club, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
it's a club
well,
at the
I
school.
would entertain a motion if somebody wants to
I
make it.
move that we approve the proclamation from the DECA.
No second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Can we get just, what is, I
Can I see
think,
that?
I want to second it for discussion, but what is,
What's the acronym
DCA.
stand for?
Hang on.
Used to be distributive education,
I meant to look it up.
something of America.
Who has
I'm gonna
the-
read this for
anybody
you,
has
gentlemen.
Safari?
DECA, also known as Collegiate DECA on the college level and previously known as Delta Epsilon Chi and Distributive Education Clubs of America, is an international association of high school and college students and teachers in marketing management, entrepreneurship and business finance, hospitality, marketing, sales, and service. The organization prepares leaders and entrepreneurs for careers in education, marketing, finance, hospitality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
It
So
sounds like a
very,
loaded
yeah,
call.
we're
Sounds
very
great.
close, okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Just feedback from the schools, do they want this to happen?
Yes, it came from, the, teacher that teaches that's the lead, whatever.
The advisor or
The
whatever.
advisor of the club. It came to them.
Got it.
And it actually came to my daughter, who was a member of DECA, who asked if I would bring it forward to the board.
We have a motion and a second.
She can't go home
So,
without
yeah,
this.
I can't go home without
Okay,
this.
all those
My
in-
pen's not
this is-
working.
This is the Janet vote. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
I was gonna abstain, but.
Yeah. See if you get your copies on time. All right, winter parking ban, and then just a letter from Peter Durkee. Reminder that as of December 1st, the town's winter parking ban will take effect, and it's in effect till April 1st, 2013. No parking on any street is allowed between the hours of 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. No parking is allowed on any street during a declared snow emergency. Again, this is always done when an impending storm is forecast to be 6 inches or more in depth. The Boston radio stations are also notified. Any vehicle impeding or blocking snow and ice control will be towed at the owner's expense. If you're parking overnight in the park and ride lot, please park all cars to the right side when entering from East Main Street during snowstorms. This will allow the plows to clean the entire parking lot without having to maneuver around parked cars. If anybody is not aware of this ban, okay, so we're announcing it for Peter. It's also been given to the press, it's probably in the newspaper and on the cable station. So, again, winter parking ban is in effect. All right, old business. Mr. Demento, come on up, and let's talk about the artificial turf building committee board makeup recommendations that you sent to us.
You want to be careful, you know, DECA, my daughter was in DECA too, she went to the Nationals. You guys gonna open up a can of worms if you talk bad about DECA.
We're not talking bad about them, no, we just didn't understand it, and it was a little bit late.
A little bit of a cult over
So
there.
marketing 101, always be on time. Timeliness of the publication. Okay, so we've had the memo from you, Jim, that says you,
Yeah, I'm here, by the way, representing the J, they're all overseas right now, so the two members
Okay.
just emailed me, asked me if I could cover because they're in
Okay.
different spots of the world.
so looking at your recommendation, and everybody has this, I communicated this to you today, was after some discussion with the chair of the school committee, because I felt like I wanted to make sure she, had fully aware of what we were doing, where it's a school property. It
Yep.
is a town property, but again, in order to keep the lines of communication open. So my suggestion was to amend this somewhat to make it one FinCom member, one school committee member. And again, that's with the authority or the input from the chair of the school committee, Ann. 2 from GAA, 1 from Parks and Rec, 2 voting members appointed by the selectmen, and then 2 non-voting members appointed by the selectmen. And that could be a selectman, it could be any, as long as it's a townsperson. For a total of 9 people, 7 voting, 2 as non-voting. So a quorum would be 4 of 7 present at the meeting. So,
For voting members.
for voting members, right. In other words, if 2 non-voting members were present, and there was only 2 voting members, that's not a quorum. Okay? So, that being said, my next question is if we're happy with that from a Board of Selectmen perspective, the next question I have is, do we want to have those committees send us a formal request for appointment? Or do we want to appoint tonight, and we have some names that were submitted
From some of the
from
committees.
interest, from some of the committees, not all of them. Do we want to go ahead and appoint? So first is construction of the committee, number 1. And number 2 is, do we want to appoint people, or do we want to get a formal request? And thirdly is, what's this committee's responsibility to the Board of Selectmen? So those are the 3 things that I would put out on the table. Taking the first one, composition. Anybody have any comment or suggestions to the composition of the committee?
We asked a question, I'm sorry, I may have missed the meeting, but what is the goal of this committee?
Okay.
Because that affects the composition.
Well, can we hold that?
Okay.
Well, all right, well, if it affects composition,
could-
all right, no, I agree with that.
I think there's twofold. There's kind of a twofold. The main thing is we have a request from the CPC from the GAA on a proposal to put, and it's originally started. They wanted to put a synthetic turf field at the bottom of the high school. They've been working with the school department. the CPC, we're gonna have an important vote to do that. If we decide that it is a viable project, we need to potentially float a bond for so many times. So we have to work out the kinks of this project. We have to know, number one, are the numbers real? Is the conservation gonna allow it, because it's next to a stream? So by having this, so the first thing with the committee would be, the committee formed would be, is look at this proposal, see if it's viable, and viable over other options. Now, they may say, we think this is a viable option if it exceeds this dollar value. If it goes over this dollar value, we don't think it's a viable option, and you might have to go to something else, like we talked about, maybe the top field. So the committee's gotta look at this proposal and say, it's viable up to this dollar value, and then what type of constraints are we gonna put in to make sure if we do go with it, that we don't get into cost overruns.
And maintenance going forward.
And maintenance going forward, yeah, right, the whole gamut of things, so,
So it's more of a feasibility,
It's a
doing
feas-
more of a feasibility study first.
right, but the important thing is, by getting the committee, we can immediately go to the Conservation Commission with an NOI and start the process, hopefully in December, early January, so we get some feedback from them that they can bring to the CPC. 'Cause if they quickly say, this is not gonna fly with us, we're done, you know? But in order to make the committee, the GAA can't go to the Conservation Commission, because if they do an NOI, it's not transferable, they're not a town entity. This group being a town entity can immediately start that steps. So we get into February, and the CPC has some numbers that they can work with and determine, is this gonna be something we're gonna present the town to vote for or not?
Okay, and it's just right now the one large field, the football field, that area, or?
That area's been they've got a proposal for the football field and the baseball field is one continuous. So you'd have both the soccer, lacrosse, football on the field, baseball. I don't know about girls, hockey, I'm not sure if they play, but basically a baseball and lights.
Okay, that's great. So one question is, does it make sense to have a CPC member on here from the perspective of, I know they can't fund the turf, as I understand it, but they can contribute to the
Oh,
preparation.
being a conflict of interest down the road unfortunately, you're right, possibly. I have to, when I presented this to the Park and Rec, not a lot of people wanted to take this task on from the standpoint. I had already been involved. I'm also the CPC member, so it might be not wise for me to be the member of both, because I would not be able to possibly vote in the CPC as a member of the committee who proposes it.
Well, how does that, that was my question, because I saw the other note in there.
It's an advisory group. I'm not sure how that would work between.
They're advising us, basically. They're not, I don't think that you're gonna make the formal request to CPC. You'd have to bring that to us first.
No, and truthfully, this was not the project. We didn't champion this project. This was brought by the school committee and the GA to the park, saying, "Would you help us out bringing this process through?" Which we thought was worth it. It has some merit to it.
Right. And I don't want to complicate, I'm thinking the right parties, because we've had, you were a member of the new school building, and you're allowed to vote whether or not to include that on a warrant. And I think if we go through our history, there's been selectmen who've been on committees that then were part of a vote. So I'm just trying to.
So many volunteers of us, right?
Just whether we need my whole point is whether
So
we need a
much bandwidth.
representative there to help, and I'm not looking to complicate it. Just if my question is if that made sense or not.
Well, again, Jim is on CPC, and I think the CPC could figure that out when they get there.
Right.
But there's let's understand, this is an advisory committee to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
Any request to CPC would come to the Board of Selectmen, obviously, from the warrant side of things. So we have full control over whatever the request is. And we can formally ask, for progress reports along the way. And we can also control this by limiting the term of the committee. We could do an April 30th, 13. That's when the terms expire and the committee disbands. If you decide, hey, this isn't gonna happen,
Right.
then the committee just disbands, or we can go to June 30th. So we have control over, from an appointment perspective, the dates and when the terms expire.
Right. No, but she's right. He will still have to vote on it at CPC.
Right.
But the final approval will come through us.
It's okay, we have a member of the trust that's on the CPC. and
Yeah.
It's worked out.
It's not a conflict of interest.
Right, it's worked out. We have somebody from the Affordable Housing Trust that sits on CPC, so it works itself out.
Well, the only other thing I can put into it, I'm a value engineer, so I don't spend any money even at work, unless it has value to it. So, I mean, I hate to, I have a number in my head. If the project gets above that number, even I'll be voting no. So, I mean, but I think it's a good, and the merit as it's presented as now stands as a good, viable project. You gotta remember, the CPC's only their duty to see if the project is viable enough for the townspeople of Georgetown to vote for. We don't vote one way or the other. We're just making that recommendation that this is a solid project, has solid merit.
Right. So Dave had given us slightly different numbers than you had put here, Jim. From your perspective, do those numbers make sense?
Yes, he made some, we looked at the adjustments, there was some numbers relayed. And those numbers I know I can't speak with, those numbers are real, and they're gonna have to stay in that area. The only reason I say that is there's been some surrounding communities have had synthetic turf fields put in that weren't at that price. And I'm saying, I know this Swampscott project that they denied was getting into the area of 3.2 million. So they're nothing way near the scope of this project. So those are the questions.
They could have had a movie there.
I'm sorry, I meant more the numbers on the number of people.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you meant the numbers of the
As
project.
far as nine members, 7 voting and 2 non.
Yeah, I think that works. I also think that having someone of contractual experience, one of the big things that they're gonna have to work with the CPC and is we'll float a bond. That's gonna be it. If this cost overruns, they're gonna have to be factored into the contract very seriously. So someone who's looking at this as a contract, someone, and I think you recommend Peter has a lot of work with putting in not the things that they want to include, but the things that go wrong and who's going to pay for those type of things. You know what I'm saying? We want to have enough cost controls embedded into the contract if we go forward with it in the future, that there's no issue. There's no what's the word? There's no confusion, I guess is the word.
Okay, so complexion of the committee, meaning members and representation. Are we okay with that?
Can you just say it again, Dave?
1 FinCom, 1 school committee, 2 from the GAA, 1 from Parks and Rec, 2 appointed by the selectmen as voting, and 2 as non-voting. And for instance, on the non-voting, my thought process was the superintendent of schools. Would that be 1 that I would recommend at some point? So that's complexion. Are we okay with that? Mr. Fowler?
Do we see that as being perhaps too large? You've added, what is it, 3 more?
7 in total. 7 plus 2 non-voting.
7 voting and 2 non-voting.
Right. So
Okay,
the voting-
So
it's
you've
only real
added,
the
you've
voting.
added 1 more voting member.
Right.
The only question is, if we got to 5 people show up, 2 people don't, could those non-voting members be substitutes?
No,
Okay,
non-voting.
okay, that's fine.
Advisory capacity only.
And it can't be used to make
a
a
quorum.
quorum either.
Okay, no, it's okay.
You need 4 voting members.
So Jim had proposed, 2, 4, 5, he had proposed 7, I have 7, plus 2 alternates, not alternates, 2 non-voting
Right.
in advisory capacity that we appoint.
So you basically moved 1 from the school committee to 2 with selectmen. You've
Right,
kept
at their request. Pretty much. So we okay with that, from a complexion perspective?
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna make a motion so we can move this thing forward here. I move that we approve the,
Create, how's that?
the creation of the Artificial Turf Advisory Committee to the Board of Selectmen, composed of 1 Finance Committee member, 1 School Committee member, 2 GAA members, 1 Park and Rec member, 2 appointments that are voting members from the Board of Selectmen, 2 appointments that are non-voting members to the Board of Selectmen, with terms to expire on 6/30/2013.
Second.
Okay. Discussion.
Can we call you guys ATAC?
The,
That sounds cool.
Is that 8?
ATAC,
ATAC.
Artificial Turf Action
Advis-
Committee.
Oh, no, we gotta go
Advisory
see.
Committee.
We don't talk, we say synthetic turf now. You gotta get with the newest lingo. I guess that's been a rule change and,
All right, Mr. Fowler.
I guess, have anybody discussed this with the finance committee? I know how busy they're going to be coming up next month, and will it be overloading anybody there? I mean, could it perhaps,
Have not spoke to them
could it
whatsoever.
perhaps be that they have an appointment rather than it be a member? I
Okay.
guess, I'm not sure. I'm just throwing that out there.
If they come back to us and say we just don't,
We
we
can
can't
change
do it, we'll have that chance to change that.
we will have the ability
Sure,
to
we
change.
can change that, absolutely.
Man, if you.
Okay, so that's, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, second issue is, do we want to solicit candidates? You know, do we want people to send in letters of interest before we go ahead and appoint? Now, we already know that Parks and Rec has voted,
Yep, voted for,
officially voted to put you on the committee.
right, and the GA has officially voted to put, request that John Pingree and Mark Perry be put on the committee.
Mark Perry,
Perry on, Tiger Row.
right, and just
then-
keep in mind, anybody on this committee, voting members have to be Georgetown residents, so just.
No, yeah,
just
yes,
make sure.
and John Pingree on, is it Pleasant Street?
GAA, John Pingree and Mark Perry. So are we comfortable making some appointments tonight, or do we want to have formal letters of interest? Gary?
I would like to see at least our appointments. I mean, we've got two. I mean, it's, I don't want.
We have four, actually.
Well, we've got the two voting, and I think the idea was with your two non-voting, that there would be people like Carol Jacobs and that, which I understand. But I would say if there's anybody out there that wants to get involved, we're not giving them a chance.
Okay.
If we do the appointments tonight, that would be my,
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I
What
think we
about
should have people
GAA
send them
and Parks and Rec? GAA has already voted.
They're already
I'm
done.
fine
Park
with
is
that,
done.
yeah, I mean.
So we can do at least three of them tonight and get that out of the way, and also make Carol a non-voting.
Just
But,
point,
again,
point of clarification then. So realistically though, let's just say if we have two appointments as selectmen for voting, if we want a selectman on there, the reality is there's only one open slot here.
If we, it depends, it
'Cause
doesn't
everyone-
have to be a select.
Everyone else is on a committee already,
I realize that.
right? So I'm just clarifying that.
Yeah, it does not have to be a selectman there. It could be if we
No,
wanted it to.
right, right.
And again, I don't, nobody's popped up to say they want to be part of that committee from the Board of Selectmen. I haven't heard that yet.
I'll,
Okay.
if you guys decide, you know, that we want a selectman on there, I'd be happy to help.
Okay. All right, well, let's do this. My suggestion would be to go ahead and make 3 appointments tonight and then ask for letters of interest to be submitted to the Board of Selectmen through to Janet or Mike. And we'd like to fill this committee by December 17th, so express your interest whether you'd like to be voting or non-voting. And we would certainly welcome as many people to apply as possible.
Definitely. And
Okay.
make contact with the selectman's office for
Yes,
that?
Selectman's office, yeah, at this point. And then Mike will send a communication out to FinCom as the finance director, and also a communication to school committee requesting that they vote one person to be a representative to the committee. And then we'll evaluate the applications that we get for the 4 spots, 2 voting, 2 non-voting. Gary?
Just something for clarification, and this is to Jim's letter, and I know last week I had mentioned about perhaps a conservation member, and you know, I understand what you're saying, is that, but just like with the Board of Selectmen, as we discussed with others, they'd be bringing it to us, so would that put them in conflict?
I think they should be held separately, in all honesty.
Okay,
what
what about as a non-voting? I mean, if one of them wanted to be involved, that's just they may not want to be involved at all.
Well, let them submit a letter, and we'll evaluate it.
Well, I'm
But
just trying to get clarification whether it would be allowed, I guess, that's,
as non-voting, sure. As a voting member, no. I would say, well,
well,
again,
as we had said
Well,
earlier, they're
pleasure of the
coming here
board.
an advisory committee to us, but, so, I don't know.
My concern was there are no NOI that's
Right.
going with the Massachusetts,
Okay.
we didn't want to
No,
have
I
a quorum,
understand
we didn't
that.
want to have quorum issues because we have one person on our board that can't vote for
Right.
the,
right.
I think it makes it easier and has more legitimacy if they're looking at it without any, what's the word, involvement in the actual decision making from, that's all.
And they could come
I
to the
agree.
committee meetings and
Oh,
stay
yeah,
informed,
yeah.
Yeah.
or vice
I guess
versa, right?
Just like some clarity on it, whether it could be allowed or not, I don't know, it could come up down the road, I think it might be something we need to know.
Well, I think the way we just established it, it's at our discretion,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. And I personally think it would be a conflict. We wouldn't wanna open the door for conflict, and like you said, could be a quorum issue too, where that person may have to recuse himself from a vote, and now you don't have a
Right.
They've had quorum issues, all the departments over the
Yeah.
years have had.
quorum issue. But, okay, let's see what the input is, let's see what the requests are, and we'll go from there. But, for starters, I would entertain a motion to appoint Jim Demento to the Park and Rec, to the, ATAC, as we call, attack?
Attack.
Synthetic turf.
The Synthetic Turf Committee, with a term to expire June 30th, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Jim, you're in.
Thanks.
Okay.
Just what you need.
I would make entertain a motion to appoint John Pingree and, well, we'll do them one at a time.
Sure.
Yeah, Mark Pingree from the GAA,
John Pinger.
excuse me.
John
Yeah,
Pingree.
Mark Perry, John, I got him backwards. John Pingree, as a member of the Synthetic Turf Field.
Stack.
Committee. Stack, I like it. With term to expire June 30th, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
Also would entertain a motion to appoint Mark Perry to the Synthetic Field Turf Committee. Whatever.
What are we calling this?
Whatever. To expire June, with a term to expire June 30th, 2013.
So move. Second.
So move seconds, we get them all over the place.
There you go.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so you have 3 members at this point. Make sure that they get sworn in. Janet will prepare.
Yeah, I can't be attacked. The only
What's the
thing I've
name of
been
the
attacked.
Yeah,
is
let's-
It's the Artificial
the
Turf
junior beef
Advisory
lately, so
Committee.
my
known
my
as
attacking days are over.
So it's
The
artificial
synthetic.
turf.
That's
How
what we,
about
that
this?
was the.
Why don't we just call it the High School Turf, Field Turf Committee, period.
You can call it whatever you want. We
I just need an official name, so like.
High school-
Because you've called it 2 different
How
things.
about
so
the,
far.
yeah,
Synthetic turf committee,
Synthetic Turf Committee, yeah.
there you go.
STC.
The STC, man. Okay, so, again, people, residents that are interested in serving, please, have your information in and your request into Janet, and we will certainly, give it full consideration. Thanks, Jim, for your hard work on this.
Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you.
See you later.
Okay, Selectmen's report. Winter spring meeting, this, our meeting schedule is January 14th to 28th, February 11th and 25th, March 11th and the 25th, April 8th and the 22nd. May 6th is the annual town meeting, and the 20th of May. I know that I'll have a conflict probably on March 25th. I think I'll be in Washington DC, so just to let you know ahead of time.
thank God you won't be here.
Well, there won't be an executive session that night, probably. Okay. ESCO update, Mike?
Coming down to the end of the project, the town hall's electricity has been retrofitted. They're starting on the public safety building on Thursday. It should be completed within a week after that. And then the week after that would be the highway department. So, the only other loose end, if you will, because the cooling tower is being put in the winter, and the project by contract is over January 15th, we're gonna have to do a change order to the contract to allow for the commissioning of the cooling tower to be done in June, by June 14th. They're
Man, I
gonna-
could've did it today.
Well, I think they need they need more than 60 degrees to really test it, but that would be the only hiccup.
Any additional expense for that?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay.
And we'll, be holding the retainage on that until,
yeah.
until it passes
Certification.
commissioning and
Okay.
operating.
Great.
So
Okay.
all in all, it's gone very well. Just can't wait to start seeing the savings mount up.
Yeah, so with all these energy savings, especially on the light how's Wayne feeling about this? He's in the business of selling electricity, and we're in the business here of trying to save electricity.
Well, if you remember,
He's on the committee.
he was on the Energy Committee, and he and Reg have been supporting and chasing this for years and years and years. So they're very happy about it.
Just teasing him.
Okay, awesome. All right, appointments and approvals, unless you have anything else, Mike, to
No,
bring up?
I'm good.
Okay. License renewals, all expiring in December 31st of 13. So who wants to take a look at these and make some motions?
I'll make some motions.
These are, before you do, these are all of these are all in good standing?
Yes.
Okay, Stu, you'll take it away.
Mr. Chair, I move that we grant off-premise all alcohol license to CJ Liquors, Inc., DBA The Liquor Barn, Georgetown Liquors, Inc., with a term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Again, there's full compliance here, no issues, right?
Right.
Good standing. Okay, any discussion, Mr. Fowler?
I guess, how are we with our SOP on this? Did we ever do an SOP on, did we get one finalized?
For the renewals and
yeah.
everything?
Yeah. We're utilizing it for the first time
This
during
this
this
round.
Okay.
this application period.
So these all meet our SOP? Okay.
Okay,
Good question.
all those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay,
Mr. Chair, I move we grant an off-premise wine and malt license to Crosby's Market, Inc., DBA Crosby's Marketplace, for a term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Again, in full compliance, no issues? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Mr. Chair, I move that we grant an on-premise all alcohol license to expire December 31st, 2013 to Georgetown Post number 7608 VFW of the U.S. Inc.
Second.
Motion, we have a motion and a second. Discussion, again, same question, full compliance?
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chair, I move that we grant an on-premise wine and malt license to Pizza Factory, which expires December 31st, 2013.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll ask it again, in full compliance?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we grant a common victular license to the Liquor Barn, Crosby's Marketplace, VFW, Charles C. Dame Lodge, Georgetown Bowling Lanes, Richdale's, and Theo's to expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. There will be probably 2 abstentions on this. Phil and I belong to the Charles Dame Lodge, so we have enough votes, I think, in the room to carry this. And that's the only reason why there's no, no other issue, so, all those in.
Pull it out separate, Mr. Chair, or?
No, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
oh, no, we have to abstain, Phil, right? Because we belong to the
I
lodge.
abstain, I said.
Yeah, abstain, me too. That's what I said.
Three
Okay,
ayes
motion
and a-
carries.
there we
Three yeas and 2 abstentions.
All right. Mr. Chair, I move that we award a Class 2 used car license for B&B Auto Clinic, Inc. to expire on December 31st, 2013.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I move that we grant what did I just say? Issue a bowling license to Georgetown Bowling Lanes for term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Mr. Chair, I move that we grant a trap shooting license to Georgetown Fish and Game Association for a term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I abstain because I'm a member of the club.
Okay, so 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Very good. Lastly, we have an appointment to the Affordable Housing Task Force to add Paul Nelson with a term to expire June 30, 2015. This was a recommendation from the Affordable Housing Task Force and the Affordable Housing Trust. So who wants to take a stab at that? We're making that motion.
I move to appoint Paul Nelson to the Affordable Housing Task Force with a term to expire June 30th, 2015.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any new business to come before the Board of Selectmen?
Will anybody reach out to the library?
I already did. I reached out to Chris and mentioned to him that I'd like him to, come forth and be on our agenda, and I have not heard anything from him. So he
I
is
did.
aware of it. Oh, did you?
He couldn't make tonight, I think it's, next meeting.
Okay, so they're on the agenda for the next meeting
Thank
about the
you.
water issue. Took care of it. I think that's about it. Although the one thing that I did want to mention is we still want to investigate, maybe we should hold off till the first of the year where it's, Beacon Hill's gonna get a little slow during the holidays here. Is that we want to talk to Senator Tarr about amending the rules for postponement or adjournment of town meetings. That's something we definitely want to get moving on for sometime in January. Okay? Great. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night, everybody, and thank you.